This was recommended by a work colleague of mine. From Danny Boyle, director of 28 Days Later, comes Sunshine. If it dies, so do we. A thrilling and sensual spectacle. You've never seen anything like Sunshine, the stunning original sci-fi action adventure from groundbreaking director Danny Doyle. It is the year 2057. The sun is dying and mankind faces extinction. Earth's last hope rests with a courageous crew of 8 men and women on a mission to ignite the fading star with a massive nuclear weapon. Deep into their voyage, out of radio contact with Earth, the mission begins to unravel and they find themselves fighting not only for their lives but the future of us all. With twists and turns you won't see coming, this pulse-pounding journey to the sun is a non-stop thrill ride. I would describe this as a mashup between Alien, maybe a little bit of Silent Running, and Event Horizon. But this movie is visually stunning, so let me explain. So we get the crew, we get them able to like have a good rapport and finishing each other's, like having good back and forth dialogue, talking about like saying, hey, here, and you get the feeling because they're not just like actors that just relay the information to get to the spectacle, but you feel the gravitas of the situation of saying, hey, there's this spaceship called Icarus 1. That's on Mercury, and they have to go and try to rescue. You're wondering who is like they didn't know what happened in the first one from 7 years ago, so they go and try and rescue it, and we get a lot of good claustrophobia. We get a lot of good spectacles, like a lot of great CGI, post-production, all that stuff. It actually took a year to get everything filmed, which I'll get into later. So, a lot of exploration, a lot of elements at first that don't seem like they would come together, which I thought first I'm like, okay. And lo and behold, I'm like, oh, I see what's going on. It's the slow burn here. So with the slow burn, they have to repair the side of Icarus 2. So that means that the captain with a nice beard has to go out along with some other person. Say, hey, we need to repair the side so they don't know the damage's extent. Like, the ship's still operational, but any further exposure could result in a ship that's unable to complete its objective and thus becomes stranded and goes unknowingly exploring space. So, of course, we get the good performances here from, I forget, Chris Evans is in this. This is well before he donned a suit or was even in Knives Out. So yeah, we get a good drama. We get the good stylings of saying, hey, this is what would happen here if we do this. So we understand the weight and gravitas of the situation because they still have to try and release the nuclear weapon to help recharge the sun. Boy, that's a phrase right there. Then things go awry, so it's like roughly for the first, 30 minutes. We feel the weight and danger of everything. And we get some nice visuals of which adds more to the blurring of just the intensity of being out in space. But then when they discover Icarus 1, that there's a captain named Pinbacker. That does not sound like a real name. It's like the back of a pin, and how he survived and said, hey, I was talking to God for 7 years, and he says we're all going to ascend to heaven. Now, meanwhile, his body is reduced to, it's not charred or anything, but we get to see the damage that occurred to him, and I'm just like, what the heck? I guess 7, because they also explain like, hey, a crew of 8, they'd be able to sustain with food for 3 years, but then there would be some mutiny going on, and some would start eliminating each other. So we get some nice touch-ups about how the captain could survive for 7 years, which he does, and he looks disfigured and everything. So ultimately, he starts getting eliminated, and he starts eliminating a couple of people. So the same time for roughly the first, I don't know, how long is this movie? An hour or so. Yeah, it is an hour and 7 minutes. An hour and 107 minutes. I would say for roughly the first 75 minutes it works well. Then we get just the, some people kind of have an issue with the ending, with the third act, and it's like, yeah, I can understand that. Where he just goes around just eliminating a bunch of people. I mean, we do get some tragic moments, like I don't know, it just felt needless. I don't know. I mean, it's not the worst thing I ever saw. It's like what event? This feels what Event Horizon could have been, in my opinion. I mean, I know that there's the footage that's like an assault mine somewhere to preserve it and it's available, all that other stuff, but this feels more like a completely made tale, even with the pinbacker going around looking ridiculous. I mean, just the visuals alone, that a year was spent post-production with all the frames and everything else to give it a truly visceral touches. You know, it's like we're careening towards the sun. You know, you're eventually going to start feeling disjointed and everything. And the crew was at the behest of Danny Boyle, said, okay, go ahead and pretty much live on the set so that we can develop camaraderie and not just feel like you're delivering stilted lines like this. You're actually having some emotion being put in, including Trey, who originally caused them to kind of veer off course or whatever. Says that his fault, so we ultimately feel his tension towards the end when he decides to krill himself in a rather bloody way. Oof, it's not pretty, I'll tell you that much. So ultimately we get a very satisfying movie where they launch the nuclear warhead into the sun and recharges everything. It's quite a tale. I mean, this is a dang good movie. So that being said, yes, 100% give Sunshine a watch.